morning, and thank you for joining us for your Saturday morning Waker Upper. This is Sunrise, and I'm Alera Idu.
Welcome to our living room. I don't know where you are right now. I hope you're in the living room as well. Please don't even try to get into my mind to see what I'm imagining or where I'm imagining that you are right now.
Oops.
Could be anywhere.
Oops.
You know, anyway, I am Akine. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Oops.
So what?
Oops.
Well, you know, the Attorney General also said, oops. Or was it the governor that said, of Edo State that said, oops?
Oh, the governor of Edo State.
About the local government crisis.
You know, that matter, I just get the impression that I don't know where these governors come off thinking that the local governments work for them or they are the employers of the local governments. Whereas that tier is made up of people who are actually elected by the people. So can the president come to their states and push them around?
Well, I think the President Obasanjo at the time kind of attempted that something.
Well, they didn't let him.
Well, did it or did
Lagos State didn't let him?
Yes, did it or did it not happen in Anambra State?
It did.
You know, so
I was just going to say that. So Lagos State didn't let him, but Anambra State just let him walk all over them, and he did too.
It all goes back to what we allow as a people. For instance, the House of Assembly has made, comments or statements and all of that. But then what we now hear is that the councillors are the ones that are now impeaching chairman of the local government. So I'm asking, yesterday when we hosted some people from Edo State, I was asking, is it a political gameplay or governance initiatives? Of course, both of them spoke from the different sides of the divide, as one would expect. But what I would appeal that we do, Alera, is for us all to recognize that all we know about today is today.
Yeah.
There is a tomorrow we will not be in government. And we have to work towards that tomorrow. At a time especially when we are talking about a paradigm shift from leadership by the older generation to young people. Now, what are we going to bequeath to them? I think that's what we all should be. We should be very, very focused on.
I don't think we're thinking very much along those lines.
Oh well.
We're just thinking about ourselves and today.
And that's what many political pundits believe. That many politicians are just interested in today.
You know, we haven't mentioned body language in inverted commas in connection with President Tinubu at all. But I would like to use that expression in this case, that the body language for President Tinubu is that he wants local government autonomy.
It's beyond body language. Constitutional language, legal language, Supreme Court language,
spoken language.
In fact, I think he hosted traditional rulers at some point. Said, go and face your governors. Don't come to me. And what do we expect really? Let the governors, because President Tinubu has been a governor. And there is no trick in the book.
And he chopped breakfast under President Obasanjo.
So he understands whatever pressures, and he's not putting any pressure on the governors because he understands what the governors themselves are going through. And there is also the constitution that says there are specific roles for the local government administrations. For instance, why should it be states naming streets? Why should it be the states working on street lights? Those are functions. Why should it be the state?
Fixing the potholes in your neighborhood.
Fixing the potholes in my neighborhood, working on drainages in my neighborhood, and you're saying you've done X number of streets. Not be your work. Oh, sorry, it's not your work. It's It's not your responsibility.
Please face your work.
Face your what you're
and leave the
supposed to do.
others to face theirs.
Exactly.
Everybody has a responsibility. This is shared responsibility. You do yours, I do mine, everything gets done. Please don't encroach.
I've often wondered, Alero, is there a list of responsibilities for state governors in the Constitution? Because there is one for council chairman. There are only specific. I'm looking for
the
it.
governors will write their own terms
JD and KPIs.
KPI.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. But maybe I'm wrong. But I can see the ones in the fourth schedule of the Constitution, specific for local government administrations, what they are supposed to do is listed. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I'm not a lawyer, so what do I know? I'm just a bloody presenter.
But you can read.
Well, maybe I've not read it up well enough.
You don't understand it. You read it, but you don't understand. It's true. It's true. You are right. You're right. Well, this morning I want to harp on the point of motorists who beat red lights, and that seems to be a way of life in Lagos now. We just take it for granted and we just do it as if it's normal. So your light goes from green to red and you're just going, as if
like nothing
has
changed.
happened, According to a cousin of mine, irregardless. You're just going, irregardless. And those LASMA and policemen standing at those traffic light junctions just lets you carry on as you wish. So as long as you don't get punished for it, you're going to do it the next time and the next time, and guess what? Other people are going to copy you.
Are you sure that they don't get disciplined?
Well,
go
I've
right
seen
now.
Anyone. Not in front of me.
Go. What was that term? Go to what's that website? Pay something. Pay.
Oh yes, I know that site.
Yeah.
I went there once and I found it fine.
I'm gonna look for it. VIS. Is it pay VIS?
My car had moved a day after my vehicle license had expired.
Go to payvis.ng, particularly for Lagos. Payvis, payvis.ng, and check.
You may find a fine.
How much fine you already owe. So for Lagos, forget it. The day they will impound the vehicles, and in fact, I don't know how they do it now, but you see that they don't just stop vehicles on the roads anymore and park on them. The day you will go and register your vehicle numbers, your vehicle certificates, annual...
Your vehicle license.
Vehicle license and all of those things. It's the day you go there and for MOT that you will see your report sheet. The only one that I'm not sure is whether they do the same for bikes and for commercial buses, because those
and for
ones,
those little things called keke.
And for those ones, I don't know if the same rule applies to them.
Yeah, but if the lights carry cameras, it doesn't matter who you are.
That's the thing. If it carries camera and it catches them, does it track them?
Okay.
Or is it
and do they get fined as well?
All those ones that have red number plates, are they naturally exempted?
They're above the law.
Okay. So, but guess what? It's not just in Lagos. Have you been to Abuja lately?
No.
Ah, gosh. It's like the red light doesn't exist. It's like it doesn't exist.
You mean it can be worse?
Oh, gosh. It's like it does not exist. At least in Abuja, the parts of Abuja that I pry when I go to town, most of the time I'm like, guys, didn't you see the red light? And it has a countdown. In some parts. So, but I haven't seen cameras on those ones. And so maybe that is one. Well, one other thing.
We don't see the cameras, but they are there.
Oh no, the cameras
some of them.
in Lagos. I see the cameras.
Oh.
I look.
Okay.
Once there is a red light, I look and I see. Okay. But in Abuja, that's not what I'm very sure of.
Okay, closing the infrastructure gap. That's what we're going to open today's program with.
And we will be talking about leadership, mind shift, or leadership shift, and how we redefine this whole idea of leadership mind shift. That's what we'll be talking about next after that.
And then we'll be looking for ways of tackling the housing deficit.
About time. 2025 ANPA week, what does that mean?
And then New Year Kickoff Summit 2025.
Okay. Now, for those of you who have cameras and you don't know what to do with them, no, for those of you who have phones that have cameras, or those of you who have cameras that can make calls, I've been accused of that, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's a particular brand that is actually known as a camera pretending to be a phone.
So what are the benefits of photography? How can you benefit health-wise from freelance photography, if I can use the term?
That should be interesting.
Absolutely. So
health benefits. Okay.
We'll find out more about that on Sunrise.
Okay, so get your cocoa.
Oh yeah, I had my cocoa already. Dash of honey. And if you prefer cocoa, please go ahead. I'll be right back.
I am victory. I am victory. No matter what comes my way. No matter what comes my way. I am victory. I am victory. No matter what they say.
Thank you for remaining with us on the program this morning. I think it was during the government, the administration of Babatunde Fashola as Minister of Works, that he spoke about our infrastructure gap in Nigeria. And he said we'll need about $2.3 billion or trillion dollars to close the infrastructure gap until 2043. And
long way off.
Very long way off. And we're talking about 20 trillion naira or $14.5 billion seed capital. The president aims to focus on critical national capital projects like the East-West Road, Mambila Hydroelectric, Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, Sokoto-Badagry Highway, and Eastern Rails, among others. I hear that in the course of the week, that the Lagos-Abuja speed rail is already in motion, and it'll close the road travel to 3 hours by rail.
But did we not hear about a monorail within Abuja at one time?
That's within Abuja. This one is going to cover from Lagos
but
to
we don't
Abuja.
get to hear, anyway, I don't go to Abuja, so I don't get to hear about it. But anyway, is it still in operation?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
We understand that Nigeria ranked 24th in 2020 out of 54 African countries in the Africa Infrastructure Development Index. We scored 23.26 points. Egypt was second with 88.3 points, and Wharton, Libya, third with 82.9 points. Can you imagine that? Anyway, we have 60,000 kilometers of Nigeria's 200,000 kilometer road network paved. Let's have conversations around this morning with Professor Samuel Odelme, who is Professor of Transport and Logistics at the Lagos State University, as well as Mr. Ademola Rabiu, joining us all the way from Ife. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Let me begin with you, Professor Odelme. This whole infrastructure gap thing, looking at the challenges and the prospects that it has, we don't seem to talk much about it. Or is it that we are not paying attention? Is it that we don't know how important it is?
Well, we talk about it in a top manner. We just pick it in a disjointed way, especially when it is biting us. Either the road is locked somewhere, or the rail is something, or power is down. So to answer that question directly, we are not coordinated about it. And that is the major problem. For instance, for transport plan, it will surprise everybody. And those of us in the family of transport experts, we've been saying it. How can a nation not have a transport policy to direct and guide its transport infrastructural development? That is why you have it disjointed all over the place. Then we just pick, for example, you mentioned Abuja, in Lagos speed rail. You will also mention Calabar rail. You will mention Badagry Sokoto. But the roads we have that is presently serving the economy of this country, the major arteries that even serve the colonial masters, in Lagos, Kano, Western axis, and the rail axis that we inherited, the Port Harcourt, Maiduguri, narrow gauge that we inherited, the same road along that same artery, they are no longer passable most of the places. If you see what trailers and those who take foods from the north down to the south, south to the north, what they go through, and what punishment they inflict on their vehicles, you will be sorry that, look, this is people who cannot count 1, 2, 3. We now say they want to do 1 million, 1 million point 3, 1 million point. All these psychedelic ideas, they are very good. But infrastructure facilities must meet your immediate need. The present Minister of Transport, Kali, came in, met a policy that was 95% ready, but by then the Ministry of Transport was broken into blue economy. Therefore, we have to start all over again to draw a policy for rail and road. And we are doing at it. For example, the transport policy, the first draft was 1993. And we have been moving one step forward, one step backward, one step forward. Generations of professors of transport and logistics, they've worked on it before it came to our own turn. Let me say this, as we speak now, only Lagos State has what you can call a transport policy throughout this country. Whatever money you throw at it, you have not thrown your brain at it. You may throw soldiers at it, you may throw military at it, you may throw FRC at it, but you must first of all plan and say, let us meet our most critical needs. So for me, the coastal rail will serve its purpose. Lagos, first of all, do the one that is there. Let it be running. So coordination is important. Coordinate vertically along the political hierarchy. Let federal government coordinate with the state coordinate with the local government. Let the modes also be coordinated. Coordinate the rail with the air, with the water, and so on. So, briefly, the fact is that we are not coordinated. We just pick and choose what we do with our infrastructural development plan.
Well, perhaps one of the challenges, Prof, is we don't even know what we talk about when we are mentioning infrastructure. Let me ask Mr. Rabiu. Maybe people will, he will help us to get some perspective, because I'm looking at a story done of the former Minister of Works and Housing about a year ago. And one of the things that he said was that Nigeria is living on infrastructure built in the 70s. And I think Prof also corroborated that when he said we inherited them from the colonial masters. And he said that we require $2.3 trillion until 2043 before we can close that gap. So when we talk about infrastructure, just so people have an idea of what we're talking about, what does that mean?
Thank you so much again for the opportunity. Like you just said now, actually we have a plan. The National Integrated Master Plan for Infrastructure was launched, I think about 2013. So we know the problem. Now the question is, in that statement, in that document, it was mentioned that we have about $2.9 trillion linearly. That will be $100 billion every year for the next 30 years. You don't even have the money. But there's a big question that is not being treated properly. Even the little that we have, are we getting value for it? And why? So the very first I want to talk about, like Prof said, coordination. I will call it systemic thinking. Every sector do their own thing. So there's this lacking of, from very top, a coordination of a kind of a target that is looking at globally. Now, I read a report in the newspaper about the Ministry of Science and Tech building a methanol plant in Abia State. The question is, methanol for what? We raised the query, and it was said that they want to use it to power vehicles. Come on, methanol is more expensive than gasoline. So billions of dollars will have been spent on that. After 2 years, what happened? Go around the country, you will see solar plants everywhere, solar poles, solar everything. You work for a week or a month or a few weeks, and it's packed up. So there's no synergy between the various sectors. You talk about ports. People talk about coordinated transportation networks and everything. The central of this is power. Without power, we are joking, because infrastructures include roads, our water, our ports, our airway, refineries, even hospitals, across all sectors. That's what infrastructure means, the art infrastructure. So and then it's so sad. People will tell you in the 70s, Lagos used to be very good. They have very good running things. But the point is, the population have grown a lot. And the investment in infrastructure have not been able to pace with this growth in the number of the volume of usage that we presently have. But the little, let me call it the little, it's not little anyway, because you see billions of naira every year. For instance, going to solar, going to road. I was in Kurudu when I came to Nigeria sometimes about 3 months ago. I was doing, and I saw a road. You look at that road, you bet it that this road has never been graded. They said, no, it was started very fashionable era, but it failed within 1 year. And the same story everywhere. You travel from Lokoja to Abuja, my good God. And then you go to that place, like Cape Town, where I live for 21 years now. Road lasts for 15 good years. I wouldn't say it's corruption, but there's lack of sustainability plan. That how do we maintain this road for the next 5 years? It's not about money only. It's about that. How do you, I went to, I don't want to mention places or the person in charge. I saw a road that was commissioned, and it is failing right on the day it was commissioned. Where's your facility? So it's not just corruption. There's this lack of coordination, like Prof rightly mentioned. Every sector is doing their own thing. You build your monorail or fast rail, and there's power failure or insufficient power supply. You have to build your own generator and everything. For generator, you need gas or diesel. You don't have that. So we do things in a way that we can say in 5 years' time, we want to have this. So as we go along, I'll be pointing out this, and it's everywhere. So imagine a country of 200 million people generating at most 10,000 megawatts of power, and South Africa of less than 60 million doing 56,000 megawatts presently. And then when we say this, what do people do? We run to renewables.
Okay. Prof, it seems like a no-brainer that we can move more goods via rail. And since you brought up the 70s, it is clear that a lot of goods and even people were moved around a lot through the railways in that time. So what happened to us that we are now at a stage where there's so much pressure on our roads, and we still don't think it is time for us to concentrate on moving goods by other means?
Yeah, thank you. The truth is, that's what I said by, I have my master plan, like my colleague said, the disjointed master plan. But to build them together, to have a overview of where are we going. That is what we commonly insist. There should be a policy. Because you see, infrastructure master plan is a large issue. You are talking of water, energy, telecom, but especially transport. Now, to address the matter, you see, it is very sad, and most of the time, I give it to lack of professionalization of those ministries, and that we politicize every aspect of our development. You said it's no brainer. Honestly, for me, if we had maintained our narrow gauge and it is running effectively, the two major transects, it will take off all these trailers off the road. But rather than ensure, you see, most politicians, they talk about legacy project. We want to leave this legacy project. But I normally ask them, what about your inheritance? What about your heritage? No government can build what he has inherited. That is, if you have inherited 100, at best, you have 8 years, you can build 10. Now, you will not neglect the entire 100, new 10, and you will be doing yanga all over the place that you have left a legacy of 10 when you have destroyed your heritage of 90. So, if I want to say so, I will say, look, get the two narrow gauge line running, take it for freight, we'll be transporting our freight. The standard gauge is now emphasizing passenger, it's human passenger, but essentially transportation is good men and material. Human beings and material are now concentrating the new standard gauge in carrying, for example, if you have a big luggage to go on the standard gauge, they will say you cannot enter. The type of transportation system is that. Whereas what you should pay attention is how do you get your heavy luggage off the road. At the Lagos Express, it was already getting corrugated because it's carrying more than it can carry. So why this is so, I take it for maybe of understanding, just that we believe that it is politics. I have to do this road. For example, me, I said the road between that we were using, ask any trailer driver, there is no road that goes from the north straight to the south that does not have places where they will spend a day or two. Because briefly in Ogbomoso, if you see about 3 kilometers of trailers stranded and you ask them, some of them have been there for 2 weeks. They cannot move. And you're not talking of Badagry, Sokoto, speed rail. It's okay, but please let them get the two narrow lines working. That should be the priority of this government. Because once we get those two narrow gauge lines, what you do with standard gauge is speed. But we cannot do that speed because of cow crossing the road and all that. So let us do that.
Well, Prof, my apologies for butting in. You talked about Lagos being the only one that has a policy for transportation.
They had made 28 last year.
Perhaps that also, and let me take this to Dr. Rabiu, perhaps that also raises questions as to whether or not states have a role to play in that. Now, we do know that the federal government, does its own thing, and both of you have spoken about the lack of coordination. Lack of coordination, is it at the federal level only where there is a nexus for all the various infrastructural projects, or a lack of coordination between the federal government and the state governments as well, so that we have
states to state
and state to state, yes, interstate as well.
All of the above.
Brilliant question. When we talk about systemic thinking or lack of coordination, if it's happening between federal ministries and agencies, you could imagine what's happening between the federal government and the state, and worse, between the state and local government. We used to have trunk A, trunk B, trunk C road, but whatever that means, either is sustainable. I don't even want to go into that now. So the issue is that actually in the recent, if you go to developed countries, federal government do little with either building or maintaining public infrastructure. The state and the municipals, like the local government, are much more involved. But it's sad. Like Prof said, if you go to East Lagos have a master planning. If you go to Osun, I told Osun and Oyo State, and then the roads in those areas are even far better than the inner road in Lagos State. How do one explain that? So it seems that if you go to Osun, for instance, or you go to Ibadan inner road, the local government, because maybe they are closer to people demand. So there will be one or two roads in one constituency that will be built. It might not last, but it's going to. But if you go to Ikorodu, for instance, like as I was there, it's a disaster. My car was stuck for there for 1 or 5 hours. I off the Lagos first gate before they built the main road. I just fire off the main road and it's a disaster. So the coordination that we're talking about is not only between the federal MDS, it's even worse between the federal government and the state government. And I think Aswaju is doing the right thing by saying we want to empower the local government and then see if they could now take up more of this. And then we'll see that. I mean, in some areas, the prisons or correctional services are being maintained by municipal and for private interest. So, but the thing we should look at, and the government will tell you, we know this. Like your colleague says, it's not a brainer. But where's the money? So let's tell you.
It leads to the question of funding, which is another critical one. But before we go there, so talking about this whole, the reason I asked the question about lack of coordination, or based on what you both said, is whether or not, and because, Professor Odewomi said, we need to ask the question, where are we going? That is what will inform the direction, the coordination, and everything. So it also then leads to the question of a national vision, Dr. Rabiu, which will inform whether or not we do some of these things that we intend to do. I've looked at the National Infrastructure Master Plan that you talked about, Dr. Rabiu. It's a humongous plan. And just as you said, I'm wondering whether or not it is sustainable. So if government after government comes, and this project, that master plan is supposed to have a 30-year lifespan, it means it's going to have quite a number of federal governments and state governments in between it. So without a vision, national vision that everyone is mandated to follow, how do we achieve that master plan?
Very good one. Look at the master plan, like you said, among us. You take time to go through everything. It contains a lot. But something is quite not. We are not seeing something there. There's no plan to sustain this. Honestly, sustainability plan. It's not only maintenance. After we've done this, what do we do? It's lacking, like Prof keep on saying. So who is watching the Guardian? Who is guiding the Guardian? So people, how do you book him up? I look at 2024 budget. I've not looked at 2025B in any case. Nearly all ministries budgeted for solar light somewhere. What is the business of Ministry of this and this with building solar light in Kutangura? And when they build it, you go there after 2-3 weeks, it's packed up. So it's like an average Nigerian leader doesn't have this long-term plan. Our Prof said, they talk about legacy. But what is legacy? If you build a road and after we left office, it packed up, even before you leave. So that's the thing that we so much lacking. Nobody's planning for, let's say, like Prof said, even if you have a plan, there's no timeline. How can you say, I want to eradicate poverty? What is that in project management? People said, I want to repair 20 federal roads within 6 months. Publish it. So that people can serve as participant citizens, whereby active citizens, whereby they can say, okay, you said you want to build 20 roads in 5 years, these are the contractors. We can be telling you this is not happening. So we don't put timelines to things. It's like I heard a governor want to reduce poverty by 50%. By when? How? Which sector? So that lazy thinking is so pervasive among. I'm not trying to run them down, no. But people are not spending quality time to think through policy. I made mention, and I don't want to mention him here. I call the person in charge. We cannot plan to power vehicle. We are joking. It's not going to happen. They still wait ahead. Billions were spent on that. Imagine that billions was spent to install offshore wind turbine on Lagos coastal area along the beach. So that I don't know. I think people are, like Prof said, they just want to say, oh, Lagwaja build this road, and that's it.
Okay.
So enough time are not being spent on how to make sure that this thing become enduring.
Professor, we're talking about closing the infrastructure gap, and there seems to be well, in my mind, there seems to be a bit of a competition between states now, rushing to build airports. Should that be a priority when we're talking about closing the infrastructure gap in Nigeria? Each state having its own airport.
If you don't have a place to go, other people will drive you along their own routes. If you don't have a plan in a day, you will operate other person's plan. Let me take 3 snippets, and we end up with this first one. In fact, I wanted to mention that airport as an example of part of just disjointed incrementalism. Flyover in the states where it is not necessary, because a governor wants to cite it that I built the first flyover in this state, I built that one. Is it what is necessary? Lack of professionalization of the sectors. Those who are doing it are not professionals. And we keep saying, professionalize, you see, because they did the infrastructure plan. But what is the role of everybody? The snippets I want to take, for instance, Engineer Ademola mentioned inner roads in Lagos. I've been saying this to anybody that cares. Lagos has done fantastically well in major arteries, especially with the current governor. He has paid attention to heavy trunk A road. But you see, for those of us in the business, in the profession, major roads are traffic collectors. Inner roads are traffic distributors. As long as you will never be able to, you see, because you will not be handing on that major arteries. To say it sharply, with the policy they now have, I think they will pay attention, and I'm trying to read the budget this year, that Lagos needs to pay attention to inner roads. The same thing throughout the country. This one takes small money to achieve so much within the city, so everybody will not be on the trunke or express lanes. Some of us said it is over designed to have 16 lanes running from Marina to Padagri. That mistake has been made. We have to live with it. The budget, it took us 2 decades. It's only someone that brought it to Okoko. The desire was to take it to Badagry. Now, so that is about the inner lane. About the funding, which we mentioned briefly, because it is important. Because Bonnie said when it's not at home, people should not develop too many ideas. The best thing, the day Mr. Fashola said that thing at a conference when he brought that figure, the consensus of the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration is that the best way to go is PPP. But government has to be faithful to the private investor. Most of the time, it is government that fails its own side of the bargain. And nobody will invest his billions and billions and borrow money. Look at what happened to Babalaki between Ibadan and Lagos. What happened to Dangote with this refinery? The government is unfaithful.
So help me understand, Prof. Perhaps the challenge, one of the challenges that we might have to contend with there is in communicating with the people. And here's what I mean. The example of the Lekki toll gate, for instance, is a PPP. Correct me if I'm wrong. But now, for some reason, that particular axis is no longer active for toll collection. So help us understand what happened in that instance, and how do we avoid that kind of thing all over the nation?
Honestly, you are right. You mentioned the solution before you even described the problem. Inadequate communication, the assumptions that they should understand, they should know. Full engagement. And that Lekki shutdown for the collection of toll is a major national tragedy. I was in a place when Mr. Fashola was lamenting that how can PPP work when the one we have done is not allowed to function. There are too many people that are ignorant and they want to come on TV and play to the gallery and why is government collecting money. They don't know that that service will not be there. For example, we will never get that $2.3 trillion, whatever you may want to say. We can never get it. Even if we stop other things and we just developing, we don't pay salary, we don't do any other, we don't pay debt, we will never be able to. But look at what PPP has done by bringing private investors to telecom and to, you can do it in housing. But you said it, government must be able to communicate. It must be evangelism. This project that we are doing, this is what it will take, and it means for us to continue to have it, we must all be ready. So if you pay 5,000 or 2,000 naira or 1,000 naira on a road, is very good. It's much better for your fuel and your shock absorber and your car in the long run. You have gotten it right. We must be communication. We call it enlightenment, education, and enforcement. The triple E's. You must throw it at PPP to make it work because of the nature of our people.
Okay, Dr. Abiu.
Can I come in there?
Yes,
Just
go ahead.
Point to what people said, the Prof said about communicating with people. I don't even know why government are not doing that. You know, people in offices sometimes they think they are doing us a favor by doing their work. If you look at the BPE, the Bureau of Public Enterprises, I met with the DG about some days ago, and I said, look at NNG, Nigerian Natural Gas. It's a PPP people here. People might not know. It's a PPP, and it's working. So when people said that government has no business running businesses, like Prof said, some people are just being ignorant. Government owning business is distinct from government running or managing the government. Government by its nature cannot manage business. I mean, endemic corruption, terrorism, and anything. But LNGN is owned by government and a partner, but they don't manage it, they don't operate it, and it works fine. So in Nigeria now, when we want to privatize everything, Prof will tell you, infrastructural funding takes a lot of capital, and the return is it comes in triple reports, and it takes for some time. Every investor wants quick money. Look at Rotary, for instance, because of what we call the ESG problem issues. All the money is gone. So you could litigate and get something, and if you are clever, you write in the contract. I'm a lawyer. You can write and get your money back. But just look at the optics. What we are selling out to other people outside there. So the big issue in the BP that we are not following is there. Don't do PPP only. Do PPP. P4. Not only public-private project. Also, people. If people in Lekki bought 5% share in that toll gate, they will defend it with their life. The same thing in the refinery area. Why can't you let the community, either as a trust or as imagine now, you get the NURTW, the Union of Road Transporters, or the road owner, to buy share in the company that is concession, the toll gate concession to, they will do everything to make sure it works. Okay. And it's in our law, it's in BPE law, but it's not being implemented.
Okay. Now, let me come back to you, Prof. Where do we go from here? Now, to a large extent, we have put all of this at the table of the federal government. And Dr. Abiu also mentioned something that various ministries, departments, and agencies are interested in what other ministries, departments, and agencies are also doing. The work of, buying solar panels and all of those things. I don't know how is the business of, for instance, the Federal Ministry of Health. That so happens. But that's one. The second leg to it is the states, the subnational governments, and the local governments as well. How do we enforce their individual roles to integrate into the national infrastructure deficit gap that we want to close?
Yeah, thank you. Lest I forget, Engineer Adebola mentioned people. Let me tell this small anecdote story. When I finished my degree, first degree, young worker, I mean, the Governor Luni introduced in Oyo State this mass transit. Then I wrote a letter to him that this program will fail in 2 years. I took the letter to Tribune and make Banji Kuroleja, who was the editor of Tribune, I told that he is the witness, and I did something very rude. I agree. I said, I bet I will give the governor 1 million if the program did not fail. As at that time, that made him very angry. But actually, I wanted to use it to draw his attention, so he threatened to sack me. What is the? I wanted to have opportunity to tell him is that everybody that we work on that firm, they call it Oyo TCTC, should have a stake in that firm. They will tell you as a driver, your salary is 100, but we'll be giving you 80. 20 will be part of your investment in this business. You are a conductor, similarly, you are a manager, similarly. So they become stakeholders. Because I happen to run a bus service, and I know that no government official, they will make you mad. You put fuel in the car, they drain it, they will say, repair tire, they remove the engine. Too many problems. Until you make people part of it. So I think that must be what must be ringing.
Okay.
You must make people stakeholders in their business.
Okay.
So it is then the question you ask, it is that it is the policy integration. Let me mention another anecdote. In the Ministry of Transport, the works makes the road. Transport makes manage it. One day, Emechi and Fashola were seated. I said, if I'm the president, I will merge the two ministries. Because why the transportation policy could not come out since 1993 is because there are so many stakeholders that believe, don't take over my territory. Don't take my pepper soup. I mean, I'm the one to collect the toll gate.
Well, interestingly, Prof, that spreads across all sectors. I mean, we've heard all kinds of things. Dr. Rabiu, 30 seconds, your closing remarks.
Prof have said it all. We should inform people. Funding, yes, it will always be. Look at, unfortunately, there's no time. Look at the Nigeria budget. How much is it? $30 billion. Look at our GDP. About $500 billion. Nigeria is a rich country, but the Nigerian government is poor. We'll come back to talk about that later. How do we do that? So much GDP for very poor, very low budget. So PPP with people and community.
Okay.
Be aware of it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm not sure I agree with you that Nigeria is poor, but hey, who is going to contest
Nigeria is rich, but the Nigerian government is poor.
Even that, I have issues with.
Nigeria is rich, but the people are not rich.
Well, I can live with that one. Thank you so much, Dr. Adebola Rabiu, who joined us from IFE, as well as Professor Samuel Adeomi, Professor of Transport and Logistics at Lagos State University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. Okay.
Thanks.
We hear that everything rises and falls on leadership. Is this infrastructure gap a leadership challenge as well? We'll find out that and more when we return.
Oh dear. Right. So, leadership shift, redefining influence. What does that mean? We're always talking leadership, and we say that our country is the way it is because of a gap in leadership
We
in
had
this
the
nation.
infrastructure gap. Do we still also have leadership gap?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. How is it that a country so rich in resources, all kinds of resources, including human capital, we're so rich in all of that, and yet our country is the way it is? To borrow Idris's words, jaga jaga. Why is it so?
Like,
In a rapidly evolving world, the call for a new kind of leadership has never been louder. With President Tinubu's recent 30-day youth conference setting the stage for a national conversation on empowering the next generation, the spotlight is on how leaders can adapt to meet the needs of a changing society. Well, we want a shift, don't we? So who do we talk to? Those who know about it. Global leadership consultant Dr. Sam Adeyemi is with us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
And a happy new year to you.
Happy New Year. Glad to be back here.
You know, as Doctor walked in, I asked him, I said, so what sound bite are you going to leave us with today? Because the one he left the last time he was here trended and trended and trended and trended.
well, maybe some people need to be reminded.
He said,
And you quote.
please quote him.
Eh?
Please quote him.
No, you are the one that is quoting the quote.
It is time to introduce conscience into leadership. It's not just being a leader. You have to think about the people and have empathy. That's my reading of what he said. I'm sure you can interpret it your own way. Once again, good morning, Doctor. I have finished my ranting. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Now we're talking about a shift. So we're shifting from where to where?
Thank you. The shift begins from our understanding of leadership
Okay.
in itself. Because once you get the definition wrong, everything else that you build on it goes wrong.
Okay.
The average person around the world thinks leadership is about occupying a position. That's the first big problem globally.
Okay.
That, once you say our leaders, people's minds just go to the people in government, especially at the
Presidents,
highest level.
governor.
That's all. Those are our leaders.
Yes.
And those of us that have researched into leadership have come to realize leadership is just simply ability to influence one or more people to achieve goals. When you bring the definition down to influence like that, then you just get to admit that leadership actually happens at all levels. How do you describe the influence of parents on their children? That's leadership. In fact, if you ask me, I tell you, the family is the greatest leadership institution in the world. Because the family actually shapes a person's values at the most tender state. How do we describe the influence of teachers on their pupils or students in school? The influence of even friends, right? I say if you persuaded your friend to go buy sweets with you when you were a child, that was leadership, that was influence. So once we believe that leadership is about occupying those few positions at the top, most people then abandon their responsibility to build and to use their influence positively. That's the big problem that we have. That's why I always say it's better we discuss leadership than leaders. Leaders refers to some personalities, and we just have this belief that, oh, if we have this Messiah, this one person that will come and save us, everything will change. And we've been changing personalities, but things have not changed. So it's time we look at the dynamics, the process, the influence process. In most countries in the world, you have a few people. It's just the human condition, right? The few people that we call elite. They have political power. They use it to channel economic resources to benefit themselves and the people close to them. In the average country around the world, that's what you have, and that's why most of the world is undeveloped.
So it's a global phenomenon.
It's a global
It's not
issue.
limited to Nigeria.
Not at all. I mean, when you look at,
But ours is just a bit more pronounced.
of course, okay, you look around Africa, and then you see it's consistent around. And that brings us to the big issue, why we should discuss this influence thing, culture. When we discuss leadership, like I said, we've not even gotten the basics in terms of the definition, before we even go to the real issue, which is culture. Culture is to a group of people what habits are to a person. Something becomes your habit when you've done it repeatedly, and now you don't need to think about it anymore. It's gone down to your subconscious mind,
So it comes
puts you on
naturally.
autopilot. Thank you. So we call it second nature. We've just started a new year. Many people's New Year resolutions are already unraveling.
On the 11th day only.
It's 11th day, and some people are realizing, yoga, I will never do this again. I will never smoke again. I will never drink again. I will never again. They are unraveling already. Because they don't realize that you don't have sustainable change until you change those habits. You have to go down into that subconscious, bring it out into the conscious, unpack it, right? And replace those habits. You can't kill a habit. Nature abhors a vacuum. You have to replace it with a new one. So, okay, instead of smoking, I will do this. That's what works. Not, I will never smoke again. So, the way we have those habits for the individual, that's the way we've developed our way of thinking and doing things as a group of people.
Dr. Adeyemi, you just picked someone. You had instead of saying
Hush.
I will never eat
Chocolates again.
Oh,
I will replace chocolates with something else.
Like what?
I don't know.
I wanted to ask you, this because we really don't have much time, but I want to take as much as possible off of you. Now, she asked you a question: shift from what to what, or from where to where. Yeah. Now, when people then, so it's going to take a while for us to transit from our understanding of leadership as people at the top to owning the fact that even a parent is a leader. It's going to take a while. But in the meantime, if we are going to make this shift and we're going to replace anything, what do we need to begin to replace? The president, for instance, is talking about a 30-day youth conference.
right.
If you were to sit with the president or sit in a meeting and say, guys, we need to shift minds about leadership in the country. We need to redefine influence so that the young people can have something to own for the future. What would be your, what are the gaps you see, and what would be your recommendations?
The first thing I'll talk about is the vision for Nigeria. What's the Nigerian dream? What's the vision? When you read, I read...
Again. There we go again. What is the vision?
Yeah.
Where are our leaders taking us? They haven't even told us.
That's the... Until I hear that from a leader, I've not had anything. Nothing else makes sense. Stephen R. Covey in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People said, he was trying to explain the difference between being a leader and being a manager. And he said, being a manager is about efficiency. You want to cut grass. The person that measures each person's portion, the person that chooses the equipment you will use, makes sure they are sharp and all that. That's the manager. He said the leader is the one that comes, looks around, finds the tallest tree, climbs it to the top, and looks at the environment to be sure we're even cutting the right bush.
The big picture.
The big picture. So, I would say, we've got to shift from being an underdeveloped or developing economy to being a developed economy, period. You ask, why are young people shipping out of Nigeria to other countries? That's what it's about. It's economic development, right? But development is composite. It's not only about money, right? It's just that picture. So we say vision is the most important quality of a leader. You take vision, Bill Hybels said, vision is the heart of leadership. He said if you take vision out of a leader, there's nothing left.
But Doctor, you have trained a lot of people. You have had all kinds of leadership training programs. And if you have been telling them this, how come we still haven't got a vision from any of our leaders?
Thank you. Again, it's the overwhelming power of the collective. It's overwhelming. Nobody likes to run against the crowd. I have an ex-governor who's a friend. I went to visit him while he was governor. then he said, Brother Sam, my biggest problem is not infrastructure. When I want to do a job, they were celebrating 2 years in office then, and he was commissioning over 100 projects. Right. He said, I get a contractor who can do the job, I give him the job. He said, my greatest problem is mindset. He said, on my own cabinet, one of the members of the state executive came to tell me that they were having a conversation somewhere. And they were saying, Governor, come as a vision. The governor will just be talking about vision. Is it vision we want to eat? Right? He said, can you imagine the people on my cabinet at the state executive don't even understand what leadership is about. They don't value vision. They're just looking for what to eat. Talk less of the citizens in the state. So these days, I've been talking about shifts, actually. And it's actually a methodology that I developed for shifting culture by shifting mindset. I've come to realize there's no leader that is going to create any sustainable change if they cannot shift the culture. And you cannot shift the culture without shifting people's beliefs and their mindset. Now, I was on a personal quest. After suffering for a while in this country, I was looking for a way to change my life, right? But eventually I stumbled on principles. And the beautiful thing about them is that they are principles. They have no respect for persons. Gravity is gravity. If you're a president, you jump from a 10-story building, you fall down hard.
And you will die.
And you will die, right? Principle is principle. So I discovered some basic principles for transforming my life. And I've repeated them over and over and over. And
did they work for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They got me to where I am as a...
Did you put them in a book or something? Because
yes. They're so powerful that eventually I decided to put them in the book.
Okay.
And gratefully...
you're going to share some of that with us this morning.
Oh yes. Gratefully, right. I got also one of the biggest publishers in academic publishing in the world, John Wiley and Sons in the US.
Okay.
And they're publishing the book. Actually, they are printing it right now. Even the company is excited about the book when they saw my methodology. So the title of the book is Shifts. That shift is actually the methodology. It is C, right? It's actually shifts.
Okay.
The S is C, the H is here, the I is insight, the F is formulate, the T is transform, and the S is succeed. This is how I stumbled on it. So when I found out, I was walking through Lagos Airport many years ago. I saw a small bookshop there. I like books, I like to read. So I branched in there, I was looking at the titles, then I saw this one, Think and Grow Rich. It was like someone slapped me on the face. Think, okay. I had never been given that idea that thinking could lead to your being rich. Work hard and be rich, that's all I had.
Yes.
Think, that's easy now. So I bought the book. Honestly, it was a paradigm shifter for me because for the first time I discovered the power of thoughts. The author, Napoleon Hill, said, thoughts are things. That got me. So you have to shape things there in that thought realm, and then you can translate that. And the amazing thing about the way we humans are designed is whatever thoughts dominate your mind, if they stay long enough there, they will attract their material equivalent into your life. The way to alter a person's life is to alter the thought. So I practiced something. I wrote a goal on a plain sheet of paper and stuck it on the wall in our bedroom. It was for a car, a Mercedes car. It was just to test now what I read in the book, put it there. And then my wife and I were having lunch with a friend we had just met, a pastor friend, and then he just said, so we were saying, we pastors, we just spend all our monies, on church work, And then my wife said, that's how we give our money to the church. We had just sold our car. We were planning to buy another one. He just said, hold on. Give me my checkbook. He said, I'm writing you a check for 400,000 naira. When we got back home, I'd never seen that kind of money at that time. When we got back home, so my dear wife said, We need to go and thank God. Let's go to the bedroom straight. Let's kneel down and thank God. As I knelt down, my eyes just went straight to the paper on the wall. I said, hold on. I went there. That was the exact amount I wrote there. Wow. I said, wait. Is this coincidence or what? So after that, I bought the car. After that, so of course I took that away. I put another one. Since then, you will not see me without those pictures.
If you can think it, you can achieve it.
You will achieve it. It's been proven over and over and over. So the big issue now is, how do you shift your own thinking? That's what I found out. And now, in the book, I have a title, a chapter on personal shifts. I have one on team and organizational shifts. And I have one on national shifts. And everything is backed by research that it is possible. If you change what people are seeing consistently over time, so this is the principle that runs true. Whatever you see and hear consistently over time will enter your heart. And when it enters your heart, it puts your life on autopilot.
How can we replicate this at this conference that the president is thinking about?
Mr. President needs to come with pictures, 3D and motion pictures of what Nigeria will look like in 30 years' time. What it will do to those young people, right? And it's not something to show once. There's a reason why builders have architects develop models, develop drawings. In fact, on the site, you see a big, giant picture of what it's going to look like even before they start digging the ground. That's how you build an individual life. That's how you build an organization, a family. That's how you build a nation.
Doctor, will this book be ready by the time that this President's Conference is holding?
I believe so. The release date is February 5. The book is almost out.
So are you going to get some copies to that conference?
Do you know the
And
date of the conference?
are you going to give a copy to all our governors and all our local government chairmen?
Yes, ma'am.
Ministers?
Thank you for asking on their behalf. Yes.
Because, I mean, whatever is capable of changing the mindset is something that all of us need to read.
Absolutely.
Because we're all in some kind of rut right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. And we've got to find a shortcut to it. In the book, when you get to the national shift side, you will see how I explain the power of the educational system. Because when children go to school, what they do is see and hear consistently every day, right? Over time. It shapes your life. So a country first defines its vision, then it decides the people that will build that vision, because it won't happen in abstract. In building, that will build it. Then design the educational system.
I know that you have a passion for young people. I know that you have a passion for young people, so I'm going to stay there for a while.
Right.
And you also talked about a vision for the next 30 years.
Right.
But that's what Mr. President needs to do. How about the young people themselves? Yeah. It's not easy to shift your mind when you are looking for our daily bread.
Thank you.
It's not easy to have a mind shift when the only shift right now is to how to shift from hunger to satisfaction.
Absolutely.
So how do we process that? How do we redefine influence when we are still struggling with personal shifts?
Thank you. Thank you. Those are the issues that actually make change really, really difficult in the environment. The instinct for survival is the strongest for any human being.
Yes.
The first thing you want to do is stay alive before you hear any theory or test any principle. The first thing you want to do is stay alive. Now, the amazing thing when you have the leadership mindset is that you see situations differently. That's why we're talking about vision. I define vision as the ability to see people, places, and things, not just the way they are, but the way they could be. The average person sees with their physical eyes. The leader sees with the inner eye, the imagination, sees the possibility. So I say to the young people, the situation may seem to be really, really bad, but the situation is actually an opportunity. If you are that one person that is not focused only on yourself, what Nigeria does is to tempt you to be a hyper-selfish person. Hyper. That's what Nigeria does to you. You grow up fighting for yourself, fighting to stay alive. The goalpost keeps shifting. you are trying to buy a car, before you know it, the price has doubled, so you keep struggling for yourself and for yourself. And so with that collective selfishness, what we are dealing with is poverty. So when you are that person that takes the attention away from yourself and turns it on other people, it changes everything.
How?
You use it to build influence. So be the person that looks for food for other people. Think for other people. Immediately your thinking will expand. When you stop thinking for one person and you begin to think for 10, for 20, these are powerful principles. I'll give you an example. I went on radio, right? On February 8th this year, it will be exactly 30 years that I went on Ray Power and began to run the program Success Power. I was teaching people how to succeed. I went in afraid. I was in my late 20s. I did not have money. When they told me how much it would cost to do the first quarter, production and airtime, I almost screamed. 120,000 naira. My salary was 8,200 naira. But
that's very far.
Thank you, very. So it was like, hey, but we were halfway into the project already. So, and by the way, it was members of my church that were on the committee. So in my mind, I said, you can't say anything here. You've been teaching them faith, that God can do anything. You can't tell them here there is no money. In fact, then also, I wrote the 120 radio broadcast, 120,000 naira on a small sheet of paper. Yeah, stuck it on the wall in my bedroom. I was shocked. The money came in. That's what our young people need to learn. King Solomon, one of the wisest people in the Bible, he wrote it in Proverbs 11. He said, the world of the greedy person shrinks smaller and smaller. The one that is liberal grows bigger and bigger. I've spent tens of millions of naira on broadcasts, if not hundreds of millions, because we've actually run the broadcast on radio, TV across many countries. How could I have imagined I would get that kind of money? I was not asking for that money for myself. This was to be able to do a broadcast, to empower people, to shift their mindset to, and because it was about other people, the money came in. That's what our young people need to know. Don't grow up into an adult focusing only on yourself, taking care only on yourself. No. When we look at the politicians, we say, oh, what works in Nigeria is stomach infrastructure. Because there's a lot of hunger. So whoever distributes the food is the one that buys the commitment of the people. I say, you to do stomach infrastructure. Is there now, as a follower of Jesus Christ, that's what I see in the Bible. What I see there is faith without corresponding action is dead. If your brother comes to you, he doesn't have food, he says, give him food first before you start teaching to him or preaching anything to him. So I came up, build influence, discovering that. Break free from selfishness or self-centeredness. Put the focus on other people. So our young people need to know you can change the power equation, right? By building your own capacity, your own influence, by attending to other people. Whatever it is I've been doing, with some 3.7 million followers on social media, I think I got some little results. Because that's a bit of influence, right? That's what I want to tell our young people. I did not have the money, but once I turned the focus on other people, the influence began to grow gradually. On your street, give somebody food to eat.
Doctor, you said be the one to give others food.
Right.
That is assuming that you have had food yourself.
Right.
So if you haven't had, yes, how are you going to be thinking of giving to the next man?
I agree. So one way or the other, you are not dead yet. You ate something yesterday. Right? One way or the other, even if it's Gary, one way or the other. I'm just saying, this is the thing about principles, right? You don't see the power. It's like gravity. That thing that pulls you down from the 3-story, you don't see it. But it is there. You're not seeing it is not proof that it is not there. So there's that power, influence. We're talking about influence, right? Who has seen influence before? Influence is power, right? Between two people. So I'm saying these principles for influence, they work. One way or the other, when you stop thinking only for one person, you are thinking for 5, you are thinking for 10. When provision will come, it comes to the size of your vision. should we break up the word? Provision is pro and vision. The opposite of pro is anti. So if it is pro, it is for. People don't know that resources actually come to the size of your vision. They come, right, to fulfill your vision. So when your vision is for only one person, that's why your provision will be small. When it is for a lot of people, it goes bigger and bigger. Our young people need to stop being hypnotized and feeling powerless. I call it a learned state of helplessness.
But it's going to be
like victims.
It's going to be very difficult, Dr. Adeyemi. The reason I said it's going to be very difficult. Okay, so I just happened, for instance, to be invited to be a participant at the president's 30-day youth conference. I've arrived, as we say. I don't blow.
Okay.
Yes.
This is all in your imagination, right?
I'm just saying, because that's what many people would. That's what many people would. Look, once you get the letter of invite that you are now a participant,
you can throw a party.
So you are essentially saying that before the announcement of the conference,
right?
What? Okay, so let me ask you that as a question. What should young people be doing in the event that you just get invited to be a participant at this youth conference that will affect Nigeria 30 years from now?
Thank you. So we should let each person know the environment matters. However fantastic your seed may be, the quality of the soil will determine its output. This Nigerian environment is frustrating all of our potentials.
Yes.
It's even the rich will tell you their wealth has been halved in the last 2 years. The value of their wealth has been halved. Environment matters. And that's what leadership and influence is about. So stop thinking only about yourself. Whatever you think is big money to you now, 5 years from now, it will be useless money because of inflation. So if you have the opportunity of going to this conference, yes, you will get estaco, they'll put you in a fine hotel, you will eat food you probably have never eaten in your life before, and they may give you a fat envelope before you leave. Just know that you are getting an opportunity that is very rare in history. Very rare in history. Don't only think about yourself. Think about what Nigeria will be in the future, and whatever your contributions will be, let it be around that vision. You can't give what you don't have. At the end of the day, it is vision that makes a leader. So from now, every young person needs to develop that vision of a developed Nigeria. You know, the amazing thing is, I developed that vision many years ago, and I found that a vision disciplines your life. You begin to do the things now that will make that vision realizable. So I find out that I've been living in a developed Nigeria for 30 years. Personally.
In your mind?
In my mind, it has translated into my life. Which means it has resulted in me upgrading the quality of my life beyond that which the average person in Nigeria experiences. It's made me a global person, right? So they invite me to speak at conferences around the world because I make sense anywhere I go. Because my thinking is not only limited to the low one.
It's not local.
It's global. It's not local. Thank you. It's global. So for the young person, it's actually in your own best interest to have the vision of a developed Nigeria. And I believe that something is going to actually shift. And when it does, this is the warning I have for Nigerians. I have seen countries fight for change. And then the change suddenly came, the people were not ready. The opportunities that came up, they did not have the skills, they did not have the capacities. Foreigners had to come in, to offer those skills, and then you have what we call xenophobia. They will now be angry. Somebody came to steal my chance. So I'm saying Nigeria will change any moment from now. Everybody all over the world knows it is Africa's turn, right? When something shifts, will you be ready? I've been preparing myself for 30 years.
One last question before we go, Dr.
Our local.
One last question. Trust is greatly depleted. So the president is talking about conference for young people. How do people have confidence in the president or in the federal government that they haven't trusted for a while, that something is going to really make a difference? Why should people attend when they don't trust the government?
That's a big question. You take trust out, the leadership equation fails. We said leadership is influencing one or more people to achieve goals. So someone said, if you call yourself a leader, but nobody is following you, you are not leading, you're only taking a stroll. How do you build trust? I do what I say I will do. I remember several years back, we were preparing for the elections, and the late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua was, attending this interview on TV. For the first time, I had something that made me stand up. I was all alone in the living room, and I stood up and said, oh God, this man is making sense. He said, if government does not keep its promises to the citizens, why should you expect citizens to keep their promises with one another? Wow. So he said government should stop embarking on projects that it knows it's not going to execute or it cannot complete. Government should stop owing people money and things like that. So how do we build trust? Government should begin to keep its promises.
Okay then.
Government, begin to keep your promises. Young people, think about Nigeria 30 years from now, not Nigeria of today. If you get invited to that conference, it's not because they're going to pay you sitting allowance or give you this or give you that. You are going there to go and form the Nigeria that we all want to see. And we all want to see a better Nigeria. That is your assignment when you go to that conference. Thank you very much for coming, Dr. Sam Adeyemi.
Thank you so much, Alera. Thank you, Aya, for having me here. I'm all passionate about Nigeria changing, especially shifting.
Many of us are.
I have a conference February 8th. It's also called Shift Conference. So the shift is my big message
for 2025.
Now. Yes.
Shift. We'll be right back in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us. So where do you live? I remember growing up, there was this musician that did a song telling us that if you live in a particular area, this is how much you pay. If you live in a particular area, this is how much you pay. And that was when Mobolaji Johnson was governor of Lagos State. If you live in this area and described it, this is how much you pay. I'm sure that our guest will remember that song, but I don't remember the name of the artist. He said, the chorus was, in other words, don't be against the government, support the government of Bolaji Johnson. So one of what we have come to understand these days is that Nigeria's housing deficit is huge, something in the region of 17 to 20 million housing deficits. And one is wondering exactly how we're going to be able to tackle that given the challenges that we have on our hands. Let's have conversations around that this morning with Dr. Edward Akinlade, who is a chartered accountant and group managing director, Hardin McCall PLC. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
This housing deficit thing, first of all, it's ageless, that your location determines the costs of your accommodation. Is that fair?
I think the driving factor is actually in the land costs. So if you look at Lagos, the most expensive land in Lagos is Eko Atlantic City, and that determines what your rent is going to be. And then you go to Banana Island, you go to VI, you go to Lekki, Ikoyi, and then you come to the mainland. So the cost of building in most of this area are the same, except you want to finish it to an high luxury. So it is the land costs across different areas of Lagos that determine what your rent will be. So you cannot expect to be living in Ikorodu, in a 2-bedroom apartment, and expect the same rent will be if you are living in, say, Eko Atlantic City. Completely different. So that's the drive.
The question I'm asking is why? Who determines how? Okay, is it what exactly determines it? What exactly determines? Because the population of people in, if it's population, the population of people in Nigeria, is way more than those of the people in Ikoyi. So
yes, I think it's actually what is in the pocket of those who wants to live in that area. For example, I grew up in an area called Surulere in Lagos, and for a long time, the price of land in Surulere remained the same. For over a period of 10 years, it was 30 million per plot. Now, what then happened is that the children of those who live in that area grew up, and they all moved to Lekki, and then they put pressure on Lekki prices, and Lekki went astronomical. So it is that affluence of the pockets of the people that lives in an area that determine the house prices in those areas.
But that also hasn't made it any easier, the housing deficit, because not too long ago, the Lagos state government, for instance, and I'm sure many other state governments have done something similar, have gone under certain bridges to demolish shanties and all of that. In fact, these shanties were being rented at 200,000 naira under bridge. So, what is responsible, in your opinion, for the housing deficit we have in the country when we have countless abandoned projects?
Well, historically, the law of demand and supply is playing out, and that is what you have. There is a lot of demand, the supply is not there. I remember the Jakonde report of early 2000. He actually commissioned a report on housing deficit in Nigeria, and what they concluded was, across Nigeria, we have a deficit of 16 million. Now, that is, you can see how far back, we're talking of 20 years ago. So we believe that the deficit across Nigeria at the moment is in the region of 20-25 million. Now, in Lagos, particularly, Business Day recently commissioned a report and said, what is the housing deficit in Lagos? They said it's about 3 million. So in order for Lagos state government or whoever is developing in Lagos to meet that demand, if they build 200,000, it will probably take them maybe 15 years to meet that deficit on a recurring basis.
That is, if the population does not remains the same.
Yes. So that is the other thing. That the population of Lagos is growing even well more than the population of Nigeria. Lagos is growing probably maybe 5% in a year, while Nigeria is growing, I'm talking about actually new births.
Yeah.
While the whole of Nigeria, we're told, is growing averagely by 2.5. So the demand of people looking for accommodation in Lagos is unprecedented. And one of the most funniest part of this is that in the last, since 1999 to today, the number of homes that Lagos state government actually build in Lagos is just average 13,000 homes. When we are saying we need about 200,000 a year to meet the deficit. So my own view is that Lagos state or government cannot meet those deficits. So they need to look at encouraging the private sector to come into it.
Okay. We're looking at the housing deficit across the country.
Yeah.
But you will agree that Lagos has a peculiar problem because the whole of Nigeria believes that the only place they can make money is Lagos. So although you have told us how expensive land is in Lagos, especially in specific areas which you mentioned, it doesn't deter people from coming into Lagos. They come in and they believe that somehow they're going to get by. So how is the state going to deal with the influx of those coming in and are prepared to live under the bridges?
I'm going to say it's more of a will on the part of Lagos State. I think they're trying, because at the moment they've opened up the idea of partnering the private sector in coming into house construction. In some areas, Lagos State are actually giving land to developers on a JV basis. Go and build, give us some unit back. So that is what Lagos State is doing at the moment. But Developers, I'm sure you know, obviously, that there is no mortgages in Nigeria. The total number of mortgages that has ever been done in Nigeria is less than 10,000.
But how about this Federal Mortgage Bank's 100 billion naira off-taker guarantee under the federal government's renewed hope something?
Yes, when you now, there are issues there in the sense that when you look at what they want to give each individual as compared to the house prices in Lagos, you will find out that, and if you also divide it by the number of people who have applied, that money is a drop in the ocean. In fact, the federal government recently launched a 250 billion housing fund to support such, but those numbers are not the numbers that we're looking at to make an impact in this deficit. I will say we need in the region of 500. Let me not. I'm talking of dollars now. I'm not talking of naira. We need in the region of about $500 million to make a dent in that. Let me give you an example.
Just a dent?
Yes, to make a dent. Let me give you an example.
Not even meet the needs?
Not even meet the needs. Let me tell you, if I take you back to memory lane, Mrs. Thatcher in the early 80s decided that we need to do something about this. And what they then did was they introduced the right to buy policy, whereby people are renting. Let's try and redistribute wealth, put money into their pocket. When the government then did that, these people now have access to cash, which they then use to start building. And that is one of the areas where Mrs. Thatcher was so successful in the UK. It distributes wealth and also massive new construction of homes all over the UK. Now, so if you come to Nigeria, what is an immediate solution is that government like Lagos State have land, which they are sitting on. Give it to developer. Let developer develop it. Government has no business in homes construction. So when government says they're building homes, it's just Fashola, don't forget, was the minister for 8 years. If you ask him, how many units did you actually build across Nigeria? Negligible. For 8 years as Minister of Housing. So what I'm basically saying is that government just needs to call developers all over Nigeria, give them land, and said, build. When you finish building, give us a proportion back. And that proportion would then be used as rented home to people who are influxing into areas like Lagos. But if I also want to answer Alario's question, I grew up in Lagos. There is, which I actually shared with my people this morning, there is an angel in Lagos called Angel Ajay. He resided in Lagos. If you are in Nigeria and you want to be a success, you must come to Lagos. And that is what is putting pressure on everything in Lagos.
Okay, you said that Lagos State was now going into JVs.
Yes.
How much is that affecting the deficit? As in, how many units are we expecting to see? How many families are we going to see move into those structures?
I think this is a start. It's a start. If it has started, for example, from 1999, it will have made a dent in it. It's a start. And Lagos State just needs to ramp up that exercise to make an impact. Lagos is sitting in the Lagos State government, in particular, are sitting on a lot of land in Lagos, which they can open up. As you can see, if you go around Lagos at the moment, you see that they're leveling up a lot of shanty town. I don't want to talk about the social issues there, but those land can be given to developer. Lagos does not need money to build it. Developers will build it. They have the funding, one way or the other, to do that and make it dense. And that, what if government wants to say, if you look at the budget of Lagos in a year, 3 trillion. If you divide that by 20 million homes, how many units can you get?
You know, but because I'm looking at the problem of influx into Lagos. It raises the question of urbanization and the problem that comes with it. So there are people who will tell you that urbanization and poor housing, poor planning, they have worsened the housing, problem, especially in Lagos and Abuja. So how, in your opinion, can better urban planning and decentralization reduce housing pressure in these cities so that people can stay where they are? There are various governments can do stuff, and then we will reduce the pressure on these urban cities.
I think the attractions of those, capital city of Nigeria is what is driving our people in here. Attraction of Lagos. If I get to Lagos, I'll get a better job from what I will get in Ogun or Borno State. So that attraction, we need to move it away. And also, I remember while growing up in this...
My apologies. So how do we move that attraction away? How do we encourage people to stay where they are so that the growth can happen there?
Yes.
They can also create the Lagos or an Abuja where they are.
Yes. And that takes me to what I would call regional development plan. You know, we have all this development commission all over Nigeria at the moment. If those organizations are actually investing locally, there will be no need to come to Lagos or go to Abuja. But they're not actually spending the money in those localities. And that is what is creating those deficits. For example, if you go to say, the Niger Delta, I remember attending a program at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and somebody was saying, why are people not coming to do estate in Warri? And everybody burst into a laugh. If you go to Warri and put 10,000 units there, what will people be doing? If they're in those homes, there's no job for them. And that is what I'm saying. Develop those areas, create jobs in those areas. People will stay. They don't need to come to Lagos. And this is one of the areas that we need the will, I would say government will, to direct energy in that direction.
How do you intend to affect this deficit? Are you hoping to build affordable housing? And how are you hoping to do it? Because I'm looking now at the cost of money.
Well, on my own side, what we are doing is that we are actually going to the Nigerian Stock Exchange to raise money on a big scale. And we have bought a huge land in a place called Majidun before Ikorodu, which in an area that we want to be building conservatively about 500 units in a year or on an annual basis. So we want more developer to follow suit. There is money in the Nigerian capital market for these purposes. So rather than going to Nigerian bank and saying 25-30%, which is a killer. So we are actively encouraging. I'm one of those people who will say Nigeria needs a lot of Dangote. If, for example, we have 1,000 Dangote in Nigeria, you know where we will be. So if we have 1,000 people actively building 1,000 units of homes in needed area, our problem will be less.
Let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about technology as a solution. As at this year, we hear that the real estate market is projected to achieve a value of $2.61 trillion this year, 2025. So, in your opinion, what role do you think technology and innovation can play in accelerating housing solutions?
Massively, in the sense that methods of construction has changed worldwide. For example, I was driving on Allen Avenue by Opebi some few days ago, Toyin Street, and I saw a fast food restaurant. It's been put up within 1 month. And what did they do? They just assembled some containers and finished it, and it's there. And those are the type of techniques that needs to come into affordable homes. And that's why I'm saying technology, it has to be technology driven. If you go to places like South Africa, a block of flats can be assembled within a period of 1 month. Why? They will have gone to build fabrics of these homes somewhere.
So they're
in mass
fabs.
Yes, in mass numbers. And they will just come, put it up. In 1 month, finish. So those are some of the things that we need to embrace here. But don't forget our construction method has always been bricks and cement, iron, bricks and cement, iron. Technology has moved on abroad. So we just need to bring that in here. And we also need the government to say, will support you if you go with all this green technology. But so far, nothing.
Tell us about the government's 250 billion naira real estate investment fund.
Yes. What the government wants to achieve is basically grow the mortgage market, i.e. to say we will support whoever wants to be on lending in the mortgage market. So that is their main agenda there. But the money that I'm seeing is a drop in the auction. It will not do anything.
But even
It's a start.
It's a start. We also had years ago a remortgage insurance corporation set up in Abuja. The whole idea is that if you are a mortgage lender and you finish your money, you can package all of that, sell it to this reinsurance corporation in Abuja and get more money and do it again. But that money seems to have run dry. Don't forget, we also have the sovereign wealth fund, which is also supposed to finance real estate. Again, nothing. And finally, I want to say on that is that the reason why the current PENCON law was established was mainly to finance affordable housing all over Nigeria. But unfortunately, the money seems to have
Right out. What happened to the Federal Mortgage Bank?
It's there, but the quantum of demand from Federal Mortgage Bank, they don't have the funds. And instead of being creative, if I am Federal Mortgage Bank, I'll go to Abuja and I'll say, Oga Kadoso, give us guarantee. Let's go into the international market and raise $1 trillion for these purposes. But the will is not there. And that's what people like me are saying to Federal Mortgage Bank. You need to grow beyond what it is. What you have here cannot do 1 million homes at all. So, and we are saying a deficit of 25 million.
I always harp on public awareness because people may not even know. You're talking about Federal Mortgage Bank. Many people thought that they died in 1980 or in the 80s because that's why an alert, for instance, will be asking that question. So public awareness about the opportunities,
Yes.
they are very, very scarce. What would be your proposition?
Well, the Federal Government Orientation Agency needs to step up their game, needs to tell Nigerians what is available out there. It's difficult to find those information, but it's there. If you apply to Federal Mortgage Bank today, the procedure may be discouraging in particular. So you will find that most of the real estate being done in Nigeria are being done with private money. Go abroad. Who does that? I mean, I want to buy a property of 100 million. Why do I want to go and find 100 million?
Yeah.
In the UK, mortgages is there for 25 years. It's not here. This market, what they have is what I call short-term money. But hopefully, with the capital market that is opening up, I think that is one of the things my company are doing. We are what I would call new kids on the block, and we hope that we will use that market to do what has not been done.
Apparently, you want other kids to come on the block.
Oh yes,
The more
we
the
cannot. Our mother can have many children, so only one kid is not enough
Just
for the
don't
mother.
kill the father. Thank you for your time this morning. Mr. Akinlade, is that his name? The name is there, Mrs. Madam. Age. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Dr. Edward Akinlade,
Thank you very
Chartered
much.
Accountant, Group Managing Director, Haldane McCall PLC.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
very much for coming.
Thank you.
The Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, otherwise known as ANPA. If you watch Sunrise regularly, I'm sure you would have heard of them before because they're here every year. It represents the professional interests of 4,000 plus physicians, dentists and allied health professionals of Nigerian birth, ethnicity or empathy in the United States, Canada, and the Caribbean, providing a platform for medical and scientific dialogue on issues of health within North America and the Caribbean and Africa, pertinent to persons of descent from the Nigerian diaspora. All that is grammar. They are Nigerian health workers.
That's right.
Working either in the Americas or in the Caribbean. And every year they come home to give back to the country of their, should I say, origin?
That's right.
That's what it is. So it's my pleasure to welcome the president of ANPA, Dr. Clifford Eke. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And he's come along with Dr. Wale Kukoyi, who's a Rotary District 911 governor.
Yes, thank you.
Just happens to be a doctor as well. And an honorary member of ANPA, Mr. George Itomi.
Not a doctor?
whose brother was president of his identical twin brother.
That's right.
Was the president of ANPA. Good morning and thank you.
My pleasure. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. We know you more to talk about
Those matters.
Those matters. Yes. So, welcome.
Thank you.
To all of you. ANPA is coming to Nigeria very soon. And normally, if I'm not mistaken, the president, you normally concentrate on certain areas for every outreach that you come for. Am I correct?
Correct.
So what is your focus this year?
Good. Thanks, first of all, for having us, to you and Mr. John Momo, who is also a friend of ANPA.
He's not an honorary member yet.
He is not, but we'll give him awards because he's been very gracious to ANPA, and I want to thank him publicly over the years through the association of the Etomis. As you know, we come to Nigeria every year, what we call ANPA Week, where we come to do free medical, surgical, dental, ophthalmic care, education, and healthcare advocacy. And this year, though, 2025, is special because ANPA will be 30 years old. And normally, we do our ANPA week, then we'll go back to the US and we'll have our annual scientific convention there, usually in June or July. But this time, because of this milestone we're celebrating, 30th anniversary, we decided to combine our biggest events of the year in Lagos. So come April 4 to 9, we'll be having our usual ANPA week, which I've described, and mainly focusing on not just taking care of patients, but training and capacity building with our local colleagues. And we have centers here, I'll talk more about it. We're collaborating with Luth, FMC Butemeta, Indo Eye Clinic, and also Rotary is part of one of our partners, and Lagos State is also involved. Then after that, from April 10 to 12, we now have our annual scientific conference or convention at Eco Hotel. And you all are invited, obviously. This is where we talk about, our theme is advancing patient care, with emphasis on leadership, research, and strategic investment. And then the sub-theme is aligning healthcare sector in Nigeria with the diaspora to improve healthcare in Nigeria, along with the vision of our president, who is encouraging diaspora to get more involved in all aspects of life here, and to minimize the Japa syndrome and encourage Japada, so we can come back and give. And hopefully the environment can be more conducive, so we don't just come for ANPA week, but actually have a business opportunity, which we're going to discuss with the Lagos State government and federal government, where we can then get foothold here and actually stay longer than usual.
When you say Japa, it sounds like a city somewhere.
Japa to Japata.
Just for context.
Dr. Kukoyi, Rotary District 911.
9111.
111. Okay.
Yes.
Now, you are partners to ANPA this year. What exactly is your involvement?
Well, thank you very much, and once again, we thank you for inviting us here. I'm here in two capacities. First, as a honorary member of ANPA, which I'm very, very proud about. Thank you for...
Oh, by the way, are you a medical doctor?
Yes,
I'm a
he
medical
is.
doctor.
He owns Ace Medical Center. Sorry to interrupt.
No
And
problem.
2 years ago, he actually hosted this ANPA week at his hospital.
Yes.
The pleasure is mine.
Okay, thank you very much. Rotary is partnering with ANPA, or has been partnering with ANPA, and we're very proud of that collaboration. You know, ANPA, like has been introduced, caters for so many physicians of Nigerian descent. Rotary International, we are an international organization with over 1.4 million, and we came together to do this great collaboration. 2 years ago, we had this very successful and very massive medical mission. And based on that, we still see that we should continue the collaboration. That is why for this ANPA 2025, Rotary is going to be so much involved in the planning, in the execution, and in the overall program execution. So it's one organization that we hold very dearly as a partner, and I'm sure with a Rotary partnership, you're going to have a very great leverage in terms of reach, in terms of human resources. We also have a huge human resource for them to use, to lean on. We have doctors, nurses, pharmacists. We'll put all this at your disposal when you come. So it's going to be another very big and successful mission this year.
Okay. Dr. Itumi, you are an honorary member. They haven't told us that you're a partner. So what exactly is your involvement in this?
Well, my involvement, obviously, as you know, I have strong relationships with ANPA. My twin brother, like you said, was president a few years ago. But more importantly, we've been advising ANPA about what I call the business of medicine, because you talk about doctors in diaspora coming back to Nigeria, but if you ask the best of doctors, they really don't open their minds to the business content of their skills. So what we've been doing is been to let them know that they should involve other sectors of the economy that they can leverage on to give them that basic infrastructure that can make this Jaada thing really work. For example, a few years ago in Charlotte, we arranged a special session within their convention where we had then Governor of Central Bank, Sanusi, now Emir of Kano. We had Atedo Peter Side, I believe, Kim Bello Sage, Udo Udoma, and I was there as well. And what we were looking at was how do you make a business case, especially for all these lending institutions, all these other people who can see the business in medicine. I tell them very frequently, when you ask many of them, they're attached to big hospitals. They work, that's where they ply their trade. But I tell them that these hospitals are owned by businessmen. The equipment owned by businessmen. They just bring you to ply your skills. We can do the same thing in Nigeria. So, but they need that nexus. So part of this convention, they will have a special session where they will also have discussions around how you can make a business case for this talent, huge, massive talent, over 4,000, like you said, to begin to ply their trade. Now, you know, many state governments, they're in the habit of building hospitals. You just go humongous stuff. Some of them well equipped, but lacking in manpower. Yeah, exactly. This is why you still see as late as our budget provision for medical trips abroad for civil servants, for service chiefs and all that. But if we make the business case and you can then create this nexus between the skills we're looking for and the infrastructure, I think it will give true meaning to this whole Jaada syndrome in this highly specialized area of medical practice.
Well, interesting that one of the agenda is to encourage Nigerians to come back home. Doctor Etomi. But then how about infrastructure?
Yeah.
I'm sure that Rotarians will understand the challenges because they get a lot of interventions, and the Nigerians in diaspora also have a faint understanding of the infrastructural gap. So how about that? Is there any role for ANPA, or is it just for ANPA to raise the issues so that government knows what to do?
It works both ways. There's a role for ANPA, and the role for ANPA will involve them lending their experience about what they have seen and what they have practiced and still practice abroad, because that gives you the standard and what you're aiming to do. But creating the awareness too is also very important. As I mentioned to you, when we had that business session, even the best of bankers did not see the business in medicine. So you find today that some of even the best hospitals, it's either a one-man show or somebody's running and they're trying to be everything. That's not their experience abroad. They just come in with their skills. Everything else back office is taken care of. Yeah. So how do you
there's a system to take care of that back end?
Absolutely. So we concentrate on their skills.
Yeah. Okay.
And all that, yeah.
Dr. K, in these interventions, as you said, have been going on for a while. Talk to us about the leadership ambit of this conversation, because we just ended a discussion with someone about leadership shift and redefining influence in the country. Speak to how this ANPA week can help to raise the stakes about leadership in the health sector, so that at least we can begin to cut down on medical tourism outside the country.
Yes, good question. And that's why, if you remember the theme I said, the first thing was leadership. And then, we talked about research.
Talk about it.
So, and I think the preacher, Sam Adeyemi, correct?
Yeah.
Hit it right on with the vision. And we need leadership in this area. And interestingly, we had some conversation with Lagos State government, which is where we're coming, and they have lots of infrastructure and lots of ideas to make Lagos a center of excellence in health. In fact, make it so that people will be coming here for care from other parts of West Africa. And then, so the will that they have to create a suitable environment for us to come, like what my friend Mr. Tommy was saying. A lot of us want to come back, but we need the basic things. Energy is a big factor with power. We need management is a big thing. So
you are in right company. He knows about that.
Yes, and that's why he's one of our advisors.
That's the one.
That's one of the reasons. And actually, he's part of the local organizing committee, trying to get us to do these events, and it's been very helpful. So power, management of not just we build and manage, but sustainability. So we're going to have experts in leadership come, and we'll have a symposium, a roundtable session where we discuss this and ask tough questions to the government. Because as individuals, there's so much we can do, but we need that enabling environment. Even the last speaker mentioned, whereby if you go to a bank, if I want to start a practice here now, I go to a bank for a loan, it's in high double digits for interest. However, if the government says, okay, this is a health fund that can help us, Jaada, to establish and give us that enabling environment, believe me, a lot of us are willing to come back and stay. And that will then start shifting the mindset, which is also very powerful.
Yes. I'd like to stay with you.
Yes.
I don't know how long you've been plying your trade abroad, But you were the first person to mention Jaada. So I'm going to ask you directly, when are you planning to Jaada?
Oh, he just answered. Good question.
So when is he
Oh,
planning?
yes. Let me help
Talking
out.
about anybody else.
Yes, actually, good question. People say, oh, Nigeria, most of the doctors, I'll say, yeah, most now, in the future will be less, that are in the diaspora were trained here.
Yes.
For free. This is me, I did not go to university here even. I will finish high school and went to the US. Did my college, did my medical school, did my residency and fellowship, and then have been coming back to give on my own. As we speak, I'm from Imo State, in my little town. Yes, I have a clinic there, I give back. Again, enabling environment. I have land I've bought near the airport, Imo Airport, that I'm hoping to be like my mentor and colleague here, Dr. Koyi, who owns ACE Hospital, to build it. But most of that money is from my savings. I work hard and I save, which there's so far I can go. I can put up the building, but that doesn't make the hospital, based on my experience, where I've trained. You have to have the infrastructure, the equipment, especially power, I'm saying. When you do a business and you spend more than half of your income on diesel to power the place, then the business aspect doesn't make sense. So these are the things we're hoping in this conference like ours, that we can talk to our leaders and they can create that enabling environment or give us even a break. In the US, they give you a tax break, for example, to encourage businesses for a while to come and establish. And if we do it with one, then we can replicate the system and get more people the courage to come back. Yes.
Dr. Kukoi, I recall a governor saying that since doctors were jackpying, that all Nigeria needs to do is to groom more doctors, produce more of them, produce more nurses, so that even if the world takes some away, Nigeria will still have some. What do you think about that policy?
Well, for me, I think training a doctor takes time, so that kind of policy will not even work. But I think the more important thing is to encourage those who are here not to go, and also encourage those who are outside to come back. And they can only do that by improving on the infrastructure we've mentioned. Security, I think security is one of those issues that does not allow our colleagues over there to come down here. I think the issues are security, enabling the environment, and and of course the business environment, the economy. Wasting a lot of money on building the hospital and maintaining it. By the time we solve all this, I'm sure most doctors will want to practice in Nigeria.
And then the issue
but thinking
of Band-Aid,
that will not work. And I think the minister was just trying to be funny at that time.
It could be a combination. We can train more people.
Let me now
we have to
your
take care of it.
expertise of the other thing that you are good at, because they have hit on your sector.
Yeah.
Yes. So, how is that sector planning to help this sector so that more of them can come back home and not give that as an excuse not to come back home?
Well, so many sectors in Nigeria are work in progress. Power, communications, so many different things. And I believe that since the policy to allow states participate more in the power industry has come into effect, many state governments are now taking over control of the regulatory aspect of the power industry. We will see a monumental shift in how power is managed. And also renewables, we're looking at solar, because some of these hospitals can actually be powered with renewables, because what that does for you, it removes the vagaries of on and off to protect those very sensitive equipment. That's so key. And the reason many hospitals suffer today is that they have sophisticated equipment that are so sensitive to voltage movements. And so you go there, they are not being used. We find them littered all over the country. So we believe a shift to renewables will give you almost 100% guarantee that those equipment will work. And that there's nothing that makes doctors happier than coming in and find that everything is functioning very well. So they can then concentrate on their skills. Now, I have a few friends who have come back since, first cardiology, the guys at Evercare, even Duchess Hospital. They will tell you the grind is hard, especially on the power issue.
But it's been worth it.
But it's been worth it. The one I wanted, it's been worth it, yes.
I suppose that's encouraging for you. That it's been worth it.
Yes.
Okay.
And some of our members have actually come. Dr. Julius Oni, one of our orthopedic surgeons, just came back. And I think after the convention, that's part of the reason also for us to come here in April, so people can see.
There'll be business alliances.
That after that, more of us will then start Jaada. And then live here with you.
ANPA.org is the website, and you can go there if you want to join them in April for the ANPA week, or if you want any other information about ANPA. It's all on the screen right now. Thank you very much for coming and telling us about this. Dr. Clifford Eke, ANPA President, Dr. Wale Kukoyi, Rotary District 9111 Governor, as well as Dr. Barrister George Itomi, who is an honorary member of ANPA. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Good luck, and we wish you all the best when you do come with your medical mission in April.
And you're invited to a convention now. It's at Eco Hotel.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Sunrise will return in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Well, the new year offers a powerful opportunity for career professionals and business leaders to pursue, to pause, to reflect, and realign with their highest aspirations. As some say, it's a time to move beyond surface level resolutions and focus on intentional growth, both personally and professional, and some say otherwise. So, as we step into this new year, today is the 11th day in the year. The challenge for professionals and leaders like you is clear. How will you rise to meet the opportunities ahead? And how will you make this year, 2025, a turning point towards excellence? Dr. Abiola Salami joins us this morning again. He is convener of Dr. Abiola Salami International Leadership Bootcamp. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So here we are again.
Yes.
But this time, New Year kickoff.
The New Year kickoff summit.
Sounds like football. Right? Is that intended?
That's not intended, but life, it's a game, kickoff. So how do we start the year? The year has already started. This is the 11th day, like you mentioned. And so we are putting this together to help us start and run well.
So what makes this unique from compared to other New Year events?
See, one of the reasons we put this together is over the years I've observed, and I'm saying over the past 20 years of me serving leaders, women in leadership, emerging leaders, to help them to deliver peak performance in the work that they do. I've observed how in the beginning of the year people have wishes, hopes, aspirations, prayers, resolutions, about
you just have to add resolutions.
About the new year. I guess she has one.
Oh yes, she has one to stop eating chocolates.
So people have this plans, this aspirations, and resolutions, and by month 2, month 3, month 4, people start to lose momentum and motivation.
Month 4 is too far.
It's too far. Some people lose it in the first week.
That's what Dr. Samadeyemi said.
Yes. and then for some who are really committed and driven, they get into the month 3 and month 4, and then by month 5, 6 down the line, everybody settles. Then by December, they'll say, well, the new year is coming again, so we hope for a better new year. Then they say we go again, and you realize that there's that gulf between our aspirations and hopes and dreams and our achievement. This is both on the personal, individual level, as well as the organizational level. I mean, organizations bring their staff together, they have a retreat, they cast a vision, a goal, set a goal for the year, and somewhere along the line, they're unable to sustain the momentum. Yes, because things happen along the way. The economy, something changes in the economy. The price of petrol, changes. I mean, these are changes that are not within your control. So we've put this together in a way to let us realize the things that we can control with the templates we have, with the framework that we have worked with over a period of time that has worked. And so we're bringing leaders together, entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, critical leaders in organizations to come to the New Year Kickoff Summit so that they build momentum. They get 3 things. They get clarity, which is to know what exactly they are supposed to be pursuing. 2, they get direction, which is the strategic actions that they can take to ensure that they achieve their goal. And 3, they get motivation so that they continue with the right momentum, both the leaders and the team members, so they continue to take positive actions even when the going is tough.
What are the key themes that you're going to deal with at this conference?
Great question. One of the things we'll be looking at is how to set goals and achieve them. We'll also be looking at how to deal with procrastination and distractions.
I carried my distraction around. It's called social media.
You know what I call that thing you are holding? A weapon of mass distraction.
Not just distraction,
mass distraction. Because you have
you have it.
You have 365 days in a year, 24 hours or 365 days in a year. And when we look at it critically, what portion of that do you really spend on what is meant to be productive, that is supposed to be earning you an income? It is okay to complain about the economy, to talk about the government.
Maybe this one earns him an income.
Which is why I'm saying, what percentage of it earns you an income? Now, except you are making money from that thing, it could be a weapon of mass distraction. And for most people, it is a weapon of mass distraction.
Yeah. It's one thing to make money with. It's another thing to make money from. All of that is just English. So those key themes that you just talked about.
Yes, and in addition to that, we'll be having conversations on leading in critical times. We're hosting Mr. Austin Avuru, who has 40 years experience in leadership. We'll be sharing insights from his personal experience. We'll be having conversations on managing your money. It is not just enough to make money, to manage it as well. We're hosting the CEO of a bank, Mrs. Kafila Araoye, CEO of Lotus Bank, who'll be sharing insights with us on how to make, and managing money. Also about health, making healthier choices, in 2025. I don't know why both of you are looking at each other when I mention making healthier choices, but it's okay.
As you can see, I'm looking straight.
It's okay.
I'm facing my front like this.
It's okay. Making healthier choices in 2025. We'll be hosting the gentleman, it's called Aproko Doctor, and we'll be sharing insights with us to enable us make healthier choices in 2025. So they'll be learning goal setting, how to deal with distractions and procrastination, how to scale some hurdles, that 2025 may throw our way, so that 2025 is better for individuals and organizations and businesses. So you make more money, you live a better life in 2025.
Now, this is a one-day event, right?
Yes.
So how do we measure and sustainable impact for the people who you are expecting to come?
Great question. This is not a one-day motivational high. We have follow-up templates that we have put in place. Okay. We have quarterly webinars for follow-up. We have peer-to-peer coaching. We have accountability partners that we'll put in place, because no matter how driven you are, at some point in time, things can happen and you will lose sight of your goal, which is why it's important to have accountability partners. So we have this framework in place to help to sustain the momentum all through the year. So it's not just a one-day high. There are templates, frameworks to help people to guide them all through the year.
And talk about mindset.
we know that it has a role to play.
Yes.
How is mindset addressed with this conference?
Mindset is everything. It is said that the way you think is the way you are. And what we are doing with this summit is to help people move from a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. A fixed mindset, mostly about the things that are happening, things that happened last year that did not make you achieve your goal. It is easy for people to still be coasted in that. But we are shifting people into a growth mindset to see more possibilities, to unlearn certain behaviors, to acquire new skills and knowledge, to be able to see better so that we can pursue the goals easily in 2025. And I say this to you. Last year, when we had the last edition in January 2024, there are some two people that were part of the audience. One of them was a startup founder, an entrepreneur, who applied our goal-setting framework to score what I would call a hat trick. You mentioned football earlier, so maybe that's what's inspiring this. To score a hat trick. One is he used that to increase the revenue of his business as an entrepreneur. Two is that he used it to streamline his operations. The turnaround time from production to delivery of his goods, right, was significantly reduced. So with that, he could serve more customers, which led to the growth of his revenue. Also, he used that to be able to retain his staff. There's conversation about Japa. People are not only Japaing from Nigeria to another country, people are Japaing from one organization to the other. It is said that people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. Now, the reason he's able to retain most of his people is part of the leadership skills that he obtained from the session that we did. So we're saying that there are testimonials, there are people who have gone through this, whose mindset have shifted and they are growing, and which is why we're doing this again and again. By the way, that's a gentleman. There's another lady who was part of it last year. She too scored a hat trick. Yes, she met her sales target with our framework. Secondly, because she met her sales target, she was promoted within 6 months. All her colleagues waited for 12 months before they were even considered. And then the third goal she achieved. She met and got married to the man of her dreams. With this thing.
At the conference?
Not at the conference, with the framework that we share at the conference.
So it's also a marriage.
So it is not just, I need to quickly comment on that. It is not just professional, that is both your professional life and your personal life. That is what Kickoff Summit is about.
Okay. Now, give us the details. Where, when, why, and all those other things.
Okay.
Where is it happening?
Great question. It's happening on the 18th of January 2025. That is next week, Saturday, here in Lagos, Nigeria, at the Glover Memorial Hall. It starts from 9 a.m. The conference starts from 9 a.m. We have a concert in the evening that starts from 6 p.m. Both of them holding in the same venue. Anyone interested to register on this can go to www.kickoffsummit.com. It is kickoffsummit.com. And speaking about the concert, we have an amazing lineup of performers as well. It's an opportunity for, after all the strategies in the morning, the frameworks and all that, it's an opportunity to just have a light moment. We'll be having Tope Alabi, who will be singing, and the people who understand what bay body means will be able to, shake their body. We'll have some comedians that will be around as well. Forever, Ashiri, Kenny Black, Damola. I mean, it's a great moment. So there is learning the early part of the day, and there is music and fun the later part of the day.
There is something you mentioned about the testimonial of the lady who met the man of her dreams. You didn't talk about the one who met the woman of his dreams. Anyway, but there's a need to look at a need to balance individual growth with team and organizational growth. How does this event help to gain that balance?
Great question. For the individual growth, it's about personal effectiveness. It's about personal productivity. It's about dealing with distractions, procrastination, knowing how to make the best use of your time, knowing how to overcome hurdles that may come your way. For the leaders, it is about having the capacity to build synergy, to collaborate, to understanding that as a leader, you don't need to have all the answers, but you need to be able to create an environment that brings the answers from the people that you are leading. And that is what we're putting together. So on the individual part, personal effectiveness, On the leadership part, yes, personal effectiveness as well, but in addition, how do you build synergy and collaborate and get results with your people?
So,
The site again?
Okay,
For those who are interested.
Okay, it is www.kickoffsummit.com. Kickoffsummit.com. And by the way, still speaking about the event, some people may say, oh, I may not be able to attend in person. You can join us as hybrid, so you can join us virtually. You know, you can pay attention to our YouTube page, which is Abiola Champ on YouTube, and there are loads of content for you there for you to continue to grow and achieve your goals in 2025.
see, I knew it had something to do with sports. That's your website, right?
Yes.
I knew it had something to do with sports. Anyway.
If I remember correctly, it's free, isn't it?
It is not free.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
It is not free. Full information about how to register
at the website.
is right there on the website.
That's right there. Yes.
My bad.
That's the that's the free price.
There's a free price there.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a free
All right.
price. You know,
All
right there
right.
on your screen. Well, what's your vision? This 30 seconds. What's your vision for the long-term impact of the kickoff conference, annual kickoff conference?
Yeah, so we're looking at the kickoff summit. It's a movement, actually. A movement of career professionals, business leaders, leaders in organizations, entrepreneurs who don't want mediocrity in any way. And what is mediocrity? Our definition of mediocrity is past success. Mediocrity is that the thing you achieved last year, it has become gone, it's obsolete. It's now a new leaf, it's a new day, it's a new dawn. So you build and you consolidate on it. So it's a movement. So we are looking at thousands, millions of leaders across the globe kicking out mediocrity and going for excellence all the way every year.
What is it that they say in this country? I get time before, not be something.
I get time before, I don't get time again, no be property.
Not be property. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for
At
having
least we have you always.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Abiola Salame is the convener of the Abiola Salame International Leadership Bootcamp, as well as this New Year Kickoff Summit. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we talked about using your camera. Sorry. Which one do you have? A phone that has a camera, or a camera that can make calls? We'll be right back to talk about that when we return. To the camera.
Yes, welcome to the home stretch. You know, when they say that photography is therapeutic, and they say it's good for your health, my response is, I don't know book.
But there's someone that knows book.
So it's not just a form of artistic expression. It is a powerful tool that can profoundly impact an individual's mental health. We hear new ones every day. Anyway, Mr. Samuel Ijiokwala is here to tell us how all those can just fit. Because right now I'm just seeing separate jigsaw puzzles, and to me it doesn't look like I can fit them all together. But Samuel can, and he's going to do that for us. Good morning, Mr. Ijiokwala.
Good morning, ma'am. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Photography will affect my mental health.
Yes, ma'am.
In what way, please?
Everybody likes to see their fine side. Everybody likes to see themselves beautiful. I'm sure you found yourself in a group picture, and when you see that group picture, who do you look out for first? Yourself,
me?
Right? Yes. So you see,
And if I'm not finding that photo,
and if you are not finding
photo
that
is not fine.
group picture, no matter how beautiful the group picture is, trust me, the picture is not beautiful. The only reason why the picture is not beautiful, because the version of yourself you saw in that picture is not pleasing to you. So, if the version of yourself you see in the picture is pleasing to you, what every other person in that picture says actually doesn't matter. The picture will be beautiful.
I mean, it's so simple, isn't it?
well, that's a start.
It's so simple.
I dare say that is a start. Because, okay, so I'm pretty sure, Mr. Giokonda, that it's not just about being taking pictures, but about you also taking pictures. How does that help? Because I just feel that maybe it's not just about sitting in front of a camera. It's also about you holding the camera to take pictures. And does that also play a role?
Yes, it does. You know, for us as photographers, it is a thing that makes us happy to be considered co-creators with God. You know, because
with God,
yes, we create, we continue the work of creation that God started and paused and gave us the mandate to keep going. So we create beautiful moments of people, of places, and of things. You know, a nation, a people, a culture will be, their perception will be as good as their image that is being put out there. And that image is created by photographers.
Okay. Now, one of the things I'd like you to help us do is to help us guide people into how they can use their own cameras to create some benefits for themselves. You know, one of the questions that I asked earlier is, do you have a camera that can make a call, or a phone that has a camera? Now, studies tell us that photography has therapeutic benefits.
Yes.
That, you know, people taking pictures, you know, it helps them it has therapeutic benefits to them. Yeah. Tell us about that. How people watching now can benefit from what they have.
One of the key things of creating images, of taking pictures, be it with your phone and a camera, is that it helps you to keep memories. It helps you to keep memories. Memories that once they come, they are gone. Imagine the first time your child took the first step and you are able to capture that with your phone. Imagine the first time you held your baby. You are able to capture that on your phone. Some of the most precious moments for me as a father were not captured with a camera, they were captured with my phone. I remembered almost 10 years ago, for the first time, when the nurse handed my daughter over to me. I took a picture, a selfie with my phone, carrying my daughter and wearing a t-shirt that what was written on it was "Keep Calm." So I remember the post I made on Facebook then was, "Keep calm, I am now a father." That memory, every time I see that image again, that memory comes back. That is what taking pictures to capture precious memories. It can just be Christmas dinner. It can even be a normal dinner. It can be you meeting up with your old schoolmates. You know how you feel when you meet people you went to primary school with that you've not seen for decades, and you are seeing yourselves all of a sudden again. The pictures you take, every time you look at those pictures, it brings back memories.
You know, Samuel, I'm just thinking, imagine not having pictures of your wedding day. How would that be?
I'll tell you a story, which was one of the things that dragged me into doing photography professionally. It has been a passion I had way back from secondary school. I realized all of a sudden, after my dad passed, or day about, that I actually don't have a picture of myself and my dad.
Wow.
It is one of the things that still haunts me. And that is why I encourage people to document these times. Because you see these children, they are small today, and tomorrow they are as tall as you are.
You know, I have
and they are gone.
I have a video, a video of my daughter. She's going to be 9 next month. But I have a video of her. She took rice to school and came back. She didn't eat the rice. And the next thing she did, she was very, very small, maybe like a year or 2. sat down and was exfoliating herself with this. I've promised her on her wedding day,
You will put that
I'm
on
going to put that video up
the screen.
on the screen for everybody to see.
That's not fair.
It's not fair.
She was just doing like this.
I'll tell you one thing I do with my kids. For my kids, of course, as a photographer, it's easy for me. It comes top of mind to document my kids growing up. And I started documenting my kids from the point of birth. I told the doctor I would be in the theater with you. So I documented them from the point of birth.
As they were
coming out.
Coming into the world.
Into the world. I have it on camera.
Oh, bloody and all.
You know. And I told them, by the time they are 18, I'll create an email and curate their growth up to 18 years, load it in the Gmail, in the Google Drive, and hand over the password to them.
No, I assure you, you can say, before the names are taken, please go and...
Yes, I have done that. So that is one of my 18th birthday gift to my children, and this is something I encourage parents to do. But you cannot agree with me that even as old as you are now, sorry, I'm not trying to say you are old, as young as you are now, let me put it that way. As young as you are now, if you have the privilege of seeing your baby pictures, I'm sure it gives you good ones.
Oh yes, of course.
It gives you this kind of joyous feeling, because you see, one of the things pictures also does for us is it makes us appreciate our growth.
You know, Samuel, one of the things Alero keeps saying, talking about mental health and all, maybe we have so many blessings that we're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Because many people watching now and listening do not even know the value of the little things that they have. For instance, Alero, you would remember, I don't know if Samuel has that memory, has that experience. You go to some people's homes, the first thing they hand you is the family album.
Yeah. And it's like the digital age is taking that away.
Yes, it's taking it away. You're right.
No, well, maybe some now they put it on a flash drive and put it on their smart screen, so it's flipping one after the other. So now, in preparing for this program, one of the things that I found out was that photography, if you are the one engaging in it yourself with whatever device you have, can also help cognitive development.
Yes.
Help us understand that.
Especially when you are giving your heart to it. So, photography has helped me have a view of like a lot of things. It has made me have a view of health, because I've had to work with some doctors in documenting their outreaches where they go to rural areas to do surgeries. So I've been privileged to be in theaters and document surgeries. I have a knowledge level that I know things about that I probably wouldn't have known if I was not a photographer. You know, I remember there was a time I covered the conference of a group of psychologists. Just being in that space, documenting that event, made me a better person. There was a time I was doing some stuff for some furniture outfits, and it made me appreciate the chair you are sitting on more. The thoughtfulness, the work, you know. At times we see these things and we just think they just put them together. But when you see the work that people put into it, so photography, and for me as a photographer, even if I want to photograph Mrs. Alero, for instance, I will do a research on her.
Oh.
Yes. I don't just show up and photograph people without doing a research. I will do a research on you. I will have a conversation with you. I want to know your fine side. I will ask you varying questions. Because at the end of the day, there's no point of creating an image of you that your personality does not shine through it. You see, so as a photographer, it really helps us to know people better.
What is it only for the professional photographers that can take photos?
No.
Exactly. So
It's not only
so let's say I have my
photographers.
camera that can make call, or my phone that can take camera, and I help us talk about nature photography for people who just have it as, just a hobby. A hobby. Yes, they go on hikes and all those things, or holidays, and they just want to take pictures. How does it help? How does it work?
One, it helps you to document that experience, okay, and it also helps you to be more mindful as you are on that experience. There is a whole lot of beauty around us than we can imagine. At times when we are taking that hike, just pause, squat down, take a closer look at that leaf, take a picture of it. I guarantee you will see a form of beauty in that leaf that you will never see standing up.
What
the
I
next time
enjoy is when you are taking pictures,
Yeah.
the joy with which you, and you are smiling. Yes.
The next time you come here, you're going to show us some of the things that our cameras can do that we don't know. Because some people just carry, man, I want to buy the latest. That latest.
And they wouldn't even know how to use
Let me
it.
just drop this tip.
You won't be able to use 0.5% of it.
Yes, the next time you want to take a picture with your phone, the very first thing you should do, clean the
lens. Thank you very much. Okay, that's a tip to take.
Okay, Mr. Samuel Ijiokwala, who is a photographer, who has told us today that the very art is therapeutic. So when you're taking pictures, you're allowed to just go away in your mind.
Do you notice that you are whispering? Just say.
Well, I'm sure they can hear me. And that's Sunrise for this morning. Thank you for being with us. We'll bring you a fresh edition next week. I'm Alero Idu, wishing you all the best. And go out there and take all the pictures that you want.
I am Akide. Just be sure that taking pictures that keep memories and not make you want to box somebody.
And clean the lens of your phone before you take it.
Very important.
Bye-bye.